want to welcome all of our new recipients of the John Corcoran Journalism Award. From the left of my screen, we have Reggie Cochran. In the center, we have Ted Gambardella. And then we have, oh, Jim Chong has jumped in there somehow. So, and then to the right, we would have had our friend Danny Lane. And then, of course, we have Jessie Bowen, who is the president of the American Martial Arts Alliance, joining us. And he is the one that began this John Corcoran Award last year as part of the 2019 Who's Who. And Mr. Bowen, if you want to welcome everybody and say hi, I'll begin to talk a little bit about their backgrounds and why they have won this journalism award this year.
Thank you, sir. Guys, again, everyone, I would like to welcome you guys and thank you for your contribution to the martial arts and the things you've done. You know, I really admire you guys, and I've had a chance to read your material, and several of us have been on different programs, and we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to make the world a better place. We're trying to support people to help them to become better. So, everything that we're doing as martial artists, especially in this group, is really working on making a difference in the martial arts through journalism, through our martial arts training, through the different things that we do. And, I know for myself and the others, we thank you for your support.
Thank you. Yeah, well, thanks, guys. Let's start with Mr. Gambardella. You've done something that has been so unique to me. I mean, every time I see something that you post, I don't know how you guys feel about it, Reggie and Danny, but every time I see him post something from somebody, I have to go through all the pictures of that person because they're so interesting and it is so unique. I just went to Amazon tonight looking at all of your work up there on Amazon, and it's amazing. People can go there and buy these series of martial arts legends. How did you come up with that idea? What was the genesis of that?
Well, I was just trying to recognize people that don't normally get recognized. Famous people like you and Bill Wallace and Alan Steen and stuff, you'd recognize all the time. But people that don't get recognized, there's never been an opportunity for them to get recognized. Mr. Bowen does it with his Who's Who award and stuff. But what I'm trying to do is if you're at least a 5th degree black belt and have done it 25 years minimum teaching as an adult, then I'm going to award you as one of the world's greatest martial artists. Wow. So far I've done 2,100 of them.
Jeez.
If you were to do
each one.
Yeah, each one has about 15 to 20 pictures. If you were to spend 10 seconds looking at each of those pictures, it would take you 21,000 seconds, which equates to over 7 hours just to look at the individual awards. Jeez. So, and as I do that, it's interesting. I'm doing it all over the world too. It's interesting thing is that there's so many different organizations out there and different people out there, and just astounding how many people don't get recognized. To get a black belt, to be a 5th degree black belt, if you got it at 18, you've been in it 25 years in most systems, and that's called a master. And so I just recognize you one of the outstanding masters. Now I do everything but sell books. As you see behind me, these are the books I have written.
Wow.
These 2 rows here, these are the 21 copies of my World's Greatest series. These are the other books I've written. I've written over 75 books, and on the top you see those are videos that I have done and DVDs that I've done. So for the last, I was one of the first martial arts authors, started back in 1980, and was one of the first people to do a martial arts book I was the first person to do one on weapons, and then I was the first person to do a martial arts books on the internet and on DVD.
Wow.
So I've been doing it for a long time. I used to sell an awful lot back before people could steal them. My book, The 100 Deadliest Karate Moves, is one of the most stolen books in the world.
Sounds like you need to talk to a friend, Reggie Cochran here from Professional Mentors Alliance. I'm sure he can help you. He can help you figure out can you figure out a way to keep him from getting all of that stuff stolen?
Yeah, we can password it, but bless his heart, he's such a giver. He's given away so much of it over the decades, and he continues to give it away. I mean, the man is just amazing.
Well,
yeah, Reggie and I are doing some stuff with one of my books, OMA, He's a co-author of the new version of that. So we're working together for maybe the last 20 years. We've been working together. You know, Reggie's one of my heroes, and he's done a fantastic job of mentoring people all over the world, and very famous people too. He's mentored.
Yeah, no question. Well, now can most people get most of the works if they go to Amazon? If they can?
Yeah, I have 75 books on Amazon and 45
Great.
DVDs on Amazon.
Okay, and do they do that just by typing in your name?
You can type in my name, or you can type in the name of the title, and they'll be there.
Okay, well, great. And next we have Mr. Danny Lane sitting next to him. Some Gave All was the title of the last book that Grandmaster Norris recommended to everyone, and it went right to the top at Amazon. Tell us about the genesis of that. And I'm assuming, Mr. Corcoran, you may have been involved with the release of that book as well.
Mr. Lane let me read it. Danny and I go way back, and
Yeah.
I was just excited for people to be able to hear his amazing story.
Yeah. So Danny, tell us about the genesis of that.
Well, it's kind of a long story. You know, when I come back from Vietnam as a U.S. Marine and saw a lot of combat over there, was wounded several times, I, never told anybody about my story. So about 38 years later, my wife Gina, noticed I was having a lot of difficulty sleeping and nightmares and still having trouble with my past. So she suggested I write out my story.
Wow.
So I was hesitant to do that to start with, and then I, we're kind of all on this God-given path of life, and there was a person come into my life, the co-author of the book, Mark Bowser. He became one of my private students, and he was a published author and has done quite a few books on self-help and things like that, and a very strong Christian man. So he said he would help put my words into the book. So I started writing the book in 2016. It took me 2 years to finish it because I had to do a lot of massive research. I went back and reconnected with a lot of my squad that was in Vietnam that was still alive. I got into the Corps archives in the Washington, D.C., got some of the pictures, got a lot of the data, made sure that all my missions and everything and the dates and times that I had in my head were correct or accurate. So after about 2 years and a lot of tears and so forth, I finally come to a conclusion. So I did pass it around to a lot of people like Reggie and Keith Vitale and Colonel Vitale and also Colonel Sparks and a lot of other people that read it in the Marine Corps, and they thought it was very good and brought together our story. But basically, it's a story about young Marines and young kids who become into the military, and it had 4 points. And it's about sacrifice, about survival, it's about the brotherhood, and it's also about the will to live. And on those 4 things, I mean, you have to apply those to every aspect of your life, and I've had to go through that. So, the surviving the war was much harder than being there. The year I was there in combat and all the missions I went through, the 38 years before I wrote this book was much harder. Surviving after and reliving all the atrocities and keeping those pinned in and not telling the story. So it helped relieve a lot of the anxiety. It also put my story out there, and I got behind Mission 22, which is a veterans charity. And more than 20 veterans a day still kill themselves because of post-traumatic stress, and they can't get help. And I've been one of those people. I mean, I've had a gun to my head many times. I've thought about taking pills, and I thought about just wanting to go where it's peaceful and I can stop thinking and get all these atrocities out of my head. So writing the book helped relieve that, and now I'm helping other veterans get through post-traumatic stress and helping try to save their lives too.
Amen.
Well, what a purpose. Is it available on Amazon, or what's the best way for people to get it?
It's available on our website, somegaveitall.com. If you want autographed copies from me, you go to somegaveitall.com. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the major bookstores carry it all, and it's sold all over the world.
Wow.
It's endorsed by Chuck Norris, and Chuck and Gina were so gracious to help promote the book, and Chuck wrote a very long review. It's on his Culture Wars blog, and I'm very, very lucky and fortunate that Mr. Norris got behind it. Of course, he's from a military family.
Sure.
His
Sure.
father, his two brothers, Aaron, and we learned both the military, so they're very much pro-military.
Well, that's powerful. So somegaveital.com is the place for you, for everybody to go. And then Mr. Corcoran, when I heard that you had co-authored some books with two people on the different ends of the spectrum, you know, you had Bill Gates on the one end and Donald Trump on the other. Were you trying to do a balancing act there? How did you do?
This actually was done in 2004 before there was two extremes.
Oh, I see.
We
Yeah.
just had two businessmen that were out there trying to better the world. And it was actually a project through Mentors Magazine. A lady by the name of Linda Forsythe, who was running Mentors Magazine, wanted to put together a book at that time of who she felt was top mentors and motivators, coaches, consultants, to get the message out, because she felt like the nation was in a funk. Businesses were up and down. And she started putting all of us together. And it was really an honor. It was great. All of us clicked together. We had Zig Ziglar in the group before he passed away.
Really?
Kennedy before he passed away. And it was just really an excited time. We had Deepak Chopra. In fact, the book did so good, around a year later, we did it again. Now, Bill Gates didn't participate the second time. Now, Donald Trump did. But the first one was called Walking with the Wise 2. And then we turned around and did Walking with the Wise Entrepreneur. Actually, Mr. Chuck Norris jumped into that one. So,
Did he?
Donald Trump, myself, Zig Ziglar again, John Assaraf from The Secret, Dan Kennedy, and you know, people like
That's
that.
great.
Wow. And that was a bestseller. So, you know, but after that, Mentors Magazine went back to magazines instead of books, and she featured us in a bunch of magazines. But it was a great time. It was really exciting.
I didn't know that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and I can see John Corcoran looking down, smiling now, and say, "Yep, those are three people that deserve this John Corcoran Award." You know, you saw on the video where he had this quote, "You know, the pen is still mightier than the sword." And so what you guys have done has inspired so many people on the one hand and educated them on the other. And it's a real pleasure for me to know all three of you, and a real pleasure to have see you guys receive this award. And I know when we all get together to honor Grandmaster Norris here in the next 24 or 48 hours, it's going to be a good time. It's just from my personal perspective, being surrounded by men's men is kind of what drives me. When I was seeing a psychologist some years back, she said, "You know, Joe, every time you come in here, you sound to me like King Arthur at the round table. You need a dozen good men." And last year, look there.
There's a book I did for Joe Corley.
That one needs to be right behind you. You need to have.
I need to have this one like this. Huh?
Yeah, that's it. But you know, as I left Las Vegas last year for the 2019 Who's Who, and then was with you guys over at the Maya convention, that's what I actually penned that on the way back to Atlanta. You know, I was around more than a dozen good men, and at this time in our world, we need so many more, and the messages that you guys are sharing with people are just are vital. And thank you very much all.
Well, we need more of you, Mr. Corley, people and like you and Mr. Bowen, who are bringing people together, because, you know, we've been martial artists for decades, and we've seen some really amazing people inside the studio, on the mats, in competition, but the rest of their lives really suck. I mean, they're the most disciplined in the world over here, and then you take that uniform off, and their life is a total mess. And I just want to thank all of y'all for taking everything that we teach in the martial arts studio and helping people apply it to the rest of their lives, to going out there and telling people that the principles we learn as a martial artist is going to make us a better student, a better husband, a better son, a better mother, a better boss, a better employee, a better leader. And, you know, I've been blessed to know Ted since the 70s and Danny since the early 80s. And I can tell you, these men have also been instrumental in my life. And you, Mr. Corley, have always been a hero, a young black belt. So, you know, that's what I'm most proud of. Our martial arts accolades are great. Y'all are all highly, you know, you're living legends in my mind. But what I really think, when I think of y'all, I think of y'all taking it outside the studio and into the world and applying those same principles into that whole area we call life. And I just want to thank y'all for that.
You're
Well,
welcome. You know,
thank you for your direction. Very much.
I always do my books not to make money, but to give back. I call it planting seeds. You know, just think, I never met Chuck Norris in my life. I couldn't have got on the phone call with Chuck Norris. I couldn't call him my friend. And, you know, Mr. Norris is now a very close friend of mine. I've become close friends with people all over the world just because I put them in my books and stuff. Things that would never have happened if I wouldn't have written these books and put these people in there and done so much for them. I wouldn't be friends with Joe Corley. He never heard of me. I wouldn't be friends with, you know, Alan, with Jeff Smith and Keith Vitale and Bill Wallace. They would never have heard of me if I didn't honor them and do great things for them and never ask them for any money, never charge them anything, never try to sell them anything. I've done that for 2,000 people. I sell on an average of 2 to 7 books for each one of those books. The most I've ever sold was 14. I make an average of 7 cents an hour, but I do it because I'm planting seeds that are going to pay me back in eternity.
Well, I know what you've been planting, and Mr. Bowen's been doing the same thing. I first got to go out to help him in Charlotte back in 2015, I think was the first year, and you know, it's been great. If he wasn't giving the award away, I would make him give himself one. But the idea is that you know, he went into something like a 7-Eleven as a kid in high school, picks up a magazine, he opens the magazine, he sees a man named Chuck Norris standing there with a trophy, and he says, "That's what I need. I want one of those, and I want to be like him." You know, and here we are these number of years later, and you've got that book, you know, that's right behind him there, 520 pages, and he's done a great job in really helping this be a legacy piece for Chuck Norris. So all of you guys are giving back for a lifetime, and for that you have the thumbs up, and I really look forward to a great Chuck Norris weekend.
I do too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
Thank you for honoring us very much.
Thank you.